All right, 3, 2, 1, get recorded. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the very first webinar of Timeplus. In this webinar, we're going to talk about the high-level use cases, some new features, hopefully to get you excited to do more with the streaming data and analysis. So before I talk about more agenda and the details, as a housekeeping rule, that is this webinar is recorded, and I can do some edit if you want before I post into the YouTube or other channels. And everyone who registered this webinar is going to receive the UI of the recording, and feel free to take this as a reference or share to others. And it's okay if you have an immediate question, but it'll be great if you can just save those questions to the end. So we're making sure we have enough time to answer your questions. Yeah, again, this webinar is meant to be casual and interactive. So for myself is one of the co-founders of Timeplus, focusing on the product and community. I live in the beautiful city called Vancouver. And one of the key reasons I moved to this city is I really enjoy snowboarding. Actually, I enjoy all kinds of board games, such as snowboarding, surfing, kind of also board, skateboard, and you know what, the last one is the agile board in the software engineering domain. So that's a little bit of an element of myself. Okay, so the agenda today will be, I honestly speaking, that is, we don't really expect you to be any expert of this domain. If you work on some database or work on the Kafka, that'll be great. Otherwise, don't worry. We are talking about why we think this is the right time to work on streaming analytics platform, and why Timeplus is a great product and interesting solution you might want to have a try. If you already have data in Kafka, then we'll give you example how you can quickly visualize everything in Kafka and build a real-time dashboard within a few minutes. And there'll be 2 case studies going to be talked about. One is from the fleet management. The other one is the Bitcoin transaction, how you can detect an anomaly with some CQ and understand what's the market is going on. If we have time, we might go over some of the key features and enhancements recently in Timeplus, and of course, reserve some time for the Q&A. Hello world. Everyone maybe start from the hello world when you learn a new language. And let's talk about hello world for the streaming world. And actually, this is not a new, right? As a consumer, you might order a pickup from Uber or any pizza or other drinks from DoorDash, or you might send a message to your friends, have a group chat, or even have all kind of online gaming and all the transactions. So compared to 5 years ago, we really embrace a lot of the idea about streaming, and no matter video streaming, data streaming, you might want to get instant message, instant feedback. As a restaurant, you might understand which type of food the customer is searching. As an end user, I may want to see where my truck is, where my food is. So compared to 5 years ago, all of us, no matter from as a developer or from as a consumer, we have a much higher expectation for getting the real-time insight. And also the rise of streaming events, such as Kafka, Rapanda, Pulsar, is a great trend, and there's more data in those streaming message bus. So here's a few more numbers from the market researcher institutions, and you don't have to read this. And at a high level, you can see that is right now, more and more data is generated at the real time, and maybe by 2025, about 1/3 of the data is real-time data. However, today, only maybe 1% of the data is analyzed. So the potential is huge. In the meanwhile, a lot of new infrastructures, new use cases, new interface need to be reinvented to making sure people can understand the real-time data and then make a timely decision. This is a diagram or the landscape coming from A16Z. In this landscape, there's many components. Of course, Timeplus is not meant to be cover all the domains. For example, in the event streaming domains, Kafka or Kinesis, Pulsar, those are a great tool for developers to consolidate their data in such a message bus. And in the real-time analytics database domain, there are some vendors, no matter open source or commercial, give you a great way to index data and query data in a near real-time fashion. And in the streaming processing domain, there's many tools or framework available for you to process that. However, you can see this is a fairly complex landscape, and there's many components inside. To integrate them together and also achieve the high throughput and the low latency is not easy. That's why we have this passion to make everything easier to consume and make the streaming data accessible to everyone. So the Timeplus products cover both the real-time analytics database as the serving area, as well as on the processing layer. So to some degree, we can be a one-stop solution to give you a better lightweight solution to set up everything without using too many components. So this is at a very high level how Timeplus work. So we work with many upstream and downstream components. We can access data from different message buses, from file system, from the database. Then we build our own unique engine to unify both streaming processing and historical data processing. We have our own data format to making sure everything is efficient without too many unnecessary marshal and marshal. We can send the data back to those message bus as say a downsampling or alert. We can also power other real-time dashboards such as Grafana or trigger a PagerDuty, or just send a notification using email or Slack to bring attention to the developers or stakeholders take actions. So so this is a really very ambitious goal, and so far we get great progress on that. On one end, our system is very powerful. So CQ is our primary language, but you can also write your own code in the way of UDF, which is a user-defined function, so that you can customize the logic as a UDF, and then you can leverage the entire CQ pipeline or the engine to run this efficiently. And we have many cool features such as those materialize view, those tumble hopping window, all kind of drawing, data mutation, CDC. So, but in the same time, because our engine is implemented with native language, C++, there's no Java, there's no Zookeeper, so we can achieve much higher hardware efficiency, and you can deploy our system easily on your local host as a cluster, or just using our cloud services. Let me start with the UI demo. Maybe that will be easier for you to give you impression about how Timeplus works. The idea is that if you already have data in Kafka, great, then you probably can use Timeplus in the next hour. So in this example, we are talking about data from the GitHub. So this is just an example, right? You can have all kind of data in Kafka, of course, but just for the purpose of this demo, imagine you already have a program to call GitHub API and send those data into your on-prem Kafka or the Confluent Cloud. So for example, in this environment, we are using Confluent Cloud. The GitHub _ event is the topic, and you can see almost every second we can retrieve data from GitHub and put into this topic. Then as a user, you can create a quite amazing real-time dashboard like this. So you can see that is Timeplus still at earlier phase regarding the real-time dashboarding. There's only limited number of charting type, a limited number of starting options. But you get the idea that is we can easily turn those real-time data in the machine fashion, either JSON or Avro, to much more user-friendly interface, such as dashboard. You can do some drill down alerts. So, for example, in this dashboard, you can see there's a total number of events keep changing almost every second. You can see which event type is more popular. For example, the push event, meaning someone push the data to a repo, and someone can create an event, someone can submit a pull request. So you can see at the real time how the data trend is, and also which repo is getting more popular. They gain more followers, or they get a lot of a push. So this is quite different than your traditional BI dashboard, because those dashboard usually is refreshed at maybe daily or hourly. It will be very costly if you set an interval like refresh every second. But in our case, all those queries is powered by real-time streaming queries like this, and we don't set any refresh interval. And using our powerful engine, we can efficiently to figure out what's the current new value, what's the data we received in the next few seconds, and get the delta change and apply to the previous one. So we can show you a quite recent data without rescanning everything. So let me show you how this is configured. Actually, it's fairly simple. As a user, you can just using our Timeplus to configure where the data is coming from without writing any code. For example, in this case, you can choose the source and choose Kafka. For example, you can set a name. And we already did quite a lot of tests for different message bus, such as Confluent Cloud or Apache Kafka or Pulsar. Then you just simply set some parameters. For example, the Kafka broker. Just let me copy and paste. But this is the broker, and you just need to set the credential. Unless you run your infrastructure in your own data infrastructure, otherwise it's always a good idea to apply certain authentication methods. And lastly, you just set topic name. We do support all kinds of data formats. The default one, JSON, should work in most of cases. And finally, let's bring the data into one of the string. Let's just name this as a GH GitHub. Then the next step is it will give you a preview to talk to the server you just specified, and you can see all the columns, and we can identify which column is in which type. You just to confirm that. Let me create the next one, and you create. So you can, as you can see, within maybe just 1 minute or two, you just specify where the Kafka broker is, how you authenticate with it, whether the data you want to change the data format, or even set a different name for the stream, or set a different retention. Then this data is already in, right? And if we go to the stream list, we can click this export button and run it. If you learn anything about SQL, this is maybe the most straightforward SQL. We just query everything from the stream. But unlike other traditional SQL, you run it and wait for the result, and that's it. But in our case, we keep monitoring what's the data coming, and we put them into our results. And we also build quite a nice interface for you to see what are the columns, what are the typical values. You can easily, using this table, to see the trend. For example, in the type field, in the past maybe a few minutes, you already get quite a lot of data. Then what is more interesting, that is we can generate a chart with it. So if I go back to this one, I don't think there's a number we can immediately to visualize. So let me just change it to function, for example, like account. Yeah, there's some shortcut available for you to run the query easily. So once I run it from immediately I get 100, then the number keeps going, and you can visualize it as a single value chart. And the reason why the initial number is 100, not a few thousand, because we run the query and wait for the result in the future. So by default, the query is triggered right now and wait for the event for the future. If you wanted to see, if you wanted to get results from the past, we also provide fairly powerful time traveling capabilities. So I will recommend you to check out our query helper on the right. So we do provide quite a lot of features, such as, say, if I want to do time traveling, say I wanted to go back to 1 hour ago, there's a snippet you can just copy and paste. Similarly, you can go back to this one. So immediately it's not coming, starting from 100, it's coming from 10,000. And similarly, we have many other cool features. You don't have to check our document. You can always check our document to learn more, but from this query helper, you can see some of the cool features from our system, such as how to do aggregation for fixed window, or having a similar fixed window, but you can keep moving the window. So there will be some overlap, but you can always get quite recent data without waiting for the next window. And there's even powerful features such as session window. The size of the window is not fixed, always based on whether there's any idle data, whether there's a certain condition. Yeah, so similarly, we provide a shortcut for you to search and apply functions in our system. You can create your query and add to your favorite or your bookmarks. You can easily check other streams or view. We can talk about view in the next section, but you can easily leverage this side panel to quickly enhance your query to get more things done. So back to the query. So imagine you already run a query, get a number. Then the next step is just add to the dashboard. You can create a new one. For example, you can say this is my Jove 21 test. You set a title. So GitHub event count. You can set a size and confirm. See, this is your very first real-time dashboard configurations. And you can always add more dashboard. You can add the line chart, bar chart. We always keep enhancing our system to support more visualizations. So this can give you a much better idea about how data looks like compared to using some UI either from Kafka or Confluent to see the raw event. So you can leverage our interface to explore your data, to visualize it. And the CQ is always a great and powerful tool for you to generate different transactions or apply certain filters. So with that as example, hopefully you can try Timeplus with your own data. You can always connect your streaming source, such as Kafka, Repanda, and others using our UI. If the server is not publicly available, please let us know. We can set up some network, for example, VPC peering, so that we can securely connect to your data center. Or you can talk to us if you prefer deploy Timeplus on-prem. And I have to mention that there's also a cool feature in our system. You can just click this set up a sample data button. We provide a few prebuilt templates such as IoT, user login, or DevOps. So those use cases based templates allow you to generate data in real time, and you can using that as a base to query and visualize your real-time data. So back to our slide, this is the real-time dashboard for GitHub. We actually also implement this as a Streamlit dashboard, so everyone is welcome to check out this demo. You don't have to sign up account in Timeplus. You can just go to this Timeplus streamlit.app / this URL, and you can see a similar dashboard, but not using our own chatting library. It is using the open source chatting library, but you can have the flexibility to implement or bring your own chatting library. And all the source code is available on the GitHub. Feel free to check. This is also a good showcase of our SDK. So we do provide SDK for different languages. In this case, this is Python, but we also provide language branding such as for Java, for Golang, and per your request, we can easily add more. The first demo is just to give you kind of a sneak preview about how Timeplus platform looks like, how it can help you to visualize your data in the streaming message bus and create quite amazing real-time dashboard with no effort. You can always create alerts. You can also connect to other sources. So coming next, I will quickly show two more use case or study to give you a better about with this powerful tool, what kind of other interesting use cases can be fulfilled without hiring a big team. So the first one is the fleet management. So we published a blog about this, but I'd like to go over this quickly. The idea is we provide such a powerful platform for you to understand the real-time data. However, in many other domains, for example, in the case of fleet management, the platform or the company might have a lot of vehicle on the road, thousands of them, and almost every few seconds, they publish new data. But it is difficult for them to gain the real-time insight about where the truck is, whether the truck is having issues to deliver the goods in time, whether they should adjust the following transactions or arrangement, or simply as whether the truck is driving too fast or stuck somewhere. So those information is available from their sensor to their IoT gateway, but with the traditional technology such as database or file system based, it is very difficult for them to understand the big picture and also generate meaningful and timely alerts. However, using our platform, everything is well connected with much lower development effort and low latency. So let me just show you the demo environment. This is not really the production one. We have a different setup, but similar one for the production environment. So in this one, similarly, we set up a stream like this track stream, and when you run it, you will get a lot of real-time data coming from the sensor, aggregated and consolidated in the IoT gateway. They push to a different message bus, and we write a connector to pull those data into our system. The overall end-to-end latency is just less than 1 second. So you will see where the truck is, what's the direction, what's their speed, which the actual address, the current mileage, things like that. Again, this data is great. It is real time, but as a human being, it is very difficult to understand what's going on with that, right? So similarly, we can build a dashboard like what I did in the GitHub demo, but we actually take one step further, which is we build a customized UI based on our real-time SDKs as well as the UI component. So in this UI, you can see all the trucks on the map. They are visualized easily, and we can also check what's the speed in the past, what's the driving activity or behavior. Even you can turn on some UI toggle to see what's the path for them to drive from one position to the other position. Even we can leverage some color coding to give you the idea about which part the truck is driving quite fast, which part is quite slow. And everything is driven by SQL or the streaming SQL in our case. So compared to other solutions, you might have to set up a Flink cluster. You have to write many customized code to detect any anomaly and visualize it. However, in our case, once the data is available in our data stream, you can just leverage SQL. And together with our UI component, you can easily build such an amazing interface for you to visualize where the truck is, whether they have any issues. If you notice that is the icon of the truck is also moving from time to time. And as an operator, you can easily figure out whether this location is meeting your expectation or there's any action you need to be taken. And similarly, we can build quite a lot of alerts easily using SQL. The SQL itself can be overwhelming, but compared to writing Python or Java code, this effort is almost nothing. This SQL can be edited on the fly, and you can change the logic, turn on or turn off. This will give you a quite iterative way to customize your logic. So as a result, we work with this partner and visualize all their fleet and improve the efficiency, reduce some boring manual monitoring, and most importantly, this give you all the drivers a much safer and trustworthy environment to work with. The other case study I want to highlight in this meeting is the Web3 or Bitcoin. This happened almost 2 weeks ago, and if you check our blog, our CTO Gang published this blog to illustrate that is how this potentially can be easily monitored using Timeplus or the streaming analysis platform. The key that is there's a lot of story behind this for sure, but from the data perspective, it is really anomaly for you to detect whether certain seller or user gets unexpected, unusual transaction within a short time period. Like for example, in this case, for a while, there's a lot of sudden increase for the number of transactions for this seller, and maybe there'll be a downtrend, the uptrend again. So you might choose to always check your favorite news site, but using Timeplus, using this modern streaming analytics platform, you can actually just bring all the data into Timeplus and leverage some powerful SQL for you to monitor thousands of, even millions of sellers in the same time without knowing which one will be problematic. But because we support such a powerful feature such as substring, you can monitor all those millions of sellers in the same time and do the stateful processing. For example, we have some features such as lag to see what's the value or the transaction amount for the same seller in the last window or last timestamp. So you can see the trend, whether the trend is getting up or getting down, whether it's changed dramatically. So all those things can be easily expressed using SQL. And in the end, we can send you alerts either using email or Slack, or send to your downstream Kafka or message bus for you to automate. So there's a chance for you to leverage the modern streaming processing engine like Timeplus to take in-time action for whatever is happening. So this is, of course, there's a lot of story and technology can be applied in this particular case, but hopefully you get the idea that is using Timeplus together with other technology, you will be in a better place to get prepared and take action timely. So back to the slides, I guess we can take maybe only a couple minutes to talk about some of the cool features before we kick off the Q&A sessions. So again, Timeplus, we provide cloud-first services for you to get things done without worrying about the infrastructure. But in the same time, we also provide other options such as on-prem or bring your own cloud. Feel free to talk to us if you have such a requirement. But if you try our cloud, we update our cloud deployment a couple times a week. So it's give you always the latest features, the best performance, and the less bugs. So I'm not going to talk about each one of it. I guess some of the highlights is really about the new UI. So for example, if I go back to our interface like this. So one cool feature is the data lineage. And if I even turn on more objects in the list, so data lineage is a cool feature. We have been working on this for a while, and this is the new UI. Give you a much better, clean interface to understand the relationship between the data source, the stream, the view. We might talk about the view maybe in the next webinar, since we might have limited time available today. So the idea that is you might create many objects in Timeplus. Some of them are processing or pulling the data from other systems, and you might want to do some joining, and you might want to persist some of the data using materialized view, and you can send them out as alerts or other streams. So when there's more and more data into the system, it is difficult to understand that relationship. For example, we do provide a list-based interface like this, but using data lineage, this will give you a much intuitive way to understand the relationship about each object. And you can even move mouse over the object to see more information. And in the next phases, we are going to add more features so that you can see their throughput, for example, or see their detailed configurations without going to other places. So this is really a great way for you to connect dots between your streaming objects. So this is a key feature I want to highlight. Some other features, such as we mentioned this query side panel. This is also a great way for you to see most of the feature in our system without going to our documentation. Again, I will be really appreciate if you can take time to check out documentations. We list a lot of detailed information, technical details. You can also query them or search them with this shortcut. For example, you can see the lag I just mentioned. You can quickly type any keywords, no matter whether the name is the function name or it's part of the description. You can easily find the thing you want in our documentation. There's all the other release note, but back to our UI, we do provide a nice way for you to see what's the key feature available, and we are enhancing our helping document to give you an idea about what is this page is about, what are the common operations. So streaming processing is a big domain, and the Timeplus has thousands of features, but we really want to help you to quickly get started to unleash the power of streaming processing. So back to the slide, you can always check our linking company profile or check our website or blog to see all the new features. For example, we really make the SQL easy to write and powerful to use. We also pay a lot of attention to our ecosystem. For example, today you can leverage your favorite SQL client to talk to Timeplus using our special gDBC drivers. And we also work with partners such as DataPM to access more data sources such as BigQuery or Twitter, and you can using those tools to access the data and push to us, then do either streaming processing or do some lookup. With that, this is all the content. I want to open the mic. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will stop the recording so that you can ask the questions freely. All right, thank you for all the questions. I cannot be more happy to see you in this first webinar, and we will have such a regular webinar to share our new use cases, platform enhancement. More importantly, we really want to discuss with you, everyone in this domain, to see how we can better solve your problem and make your development more powerful and streamlined. All right, thank you very much, and see you next time.